Hey, good morning, Patriots. Time to get up. You better be up. I'm up. It's time to be up. I've been up for like a lot of hours. I had to be up early for Newsmax this morning, not CNN. We'll talk about CNN today. That'll be interesting because so many things are going on where we are being told black is white, cats are dogs, and Kamala Harris is smart. So, without further ado, someone who is smart, we're going to bring in, which is Chris Cordani. Right, Chris?
Well, let's hope so.
Right. Where is he? There he is.
I'm trying to be smart here. There we go. We're working on a few things here. I know we have a little bit of a tech issue, so we're hoping to have Karyn in, but we're definitely going to have Dr. Jerome Corsi in today. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So welcome. Good morning, all Patriots.
And that's I guess we're not going to have. Yeah, well, we're not going to. I guess Karyn's tied up.
Yes. Well, there's an internet issue at her place, so if she can resolve it, she's going to come in. So we'll try. Hopefully, she'll be in with Jesus calling.
Oh, good. Well, maybe she can just join us in chat if nothing else. So we'll see.
Yeah. We got. Well,
good morning, everybody. I see everybody showing up.
Right.
What's that?
Yeah.
What are you saying, Chris?
If her internet's up, she'll be on. So that's how it works. Okay.
Anything else before I go on?
Nope. All good.
All right. So let's roll right into what happened over the last couple of days. We didn't get to everything yesterday, and I think we were going a little bit deep on Kamala Harris. Can I say going deep and Kamala Harris the same sentence? I guess I can, right? Is that illegal? Did I violate something, Chris, by saying that?
If you're Montel Williams or Willie Brown, possibly. There we go. Maybe not Emhoff, but that's another story for another day.
Well, two things on the men. You brought up Doug. Isn't it true that Doug had a fling with a what do you call her? A maid? A babysitter? What was she? Do you remember what it was, Chris?
It's a domestic engineer.
Or a domestic goddess, as I've heard him called before, right?
I believe so. I think that was who was the domestic goddess? The comedian. I forgot who that was.
That was Roseanne.
No, it was Roseanne. Okay, I got. Yeah, that's right. I'm a domestic goddess. She did the gum. That was awesome.
She's on our side.
Yes.
Yeah, she's on our side now, right? She's seen the light.
Well, she's another Trump, a former Democrat who's seen the light. You're right.
Yeah. So, but I digress. I want to get back to Dougie. So Dougie apparently had a fling with a domestic goddess, and then he lost his marriage. So isn't he the role model we're supposed to be following? Isn't that what we're told, Chris? He's the guy that we're supposed to be like.
Oh, he's the guy that all men should be. He's the new model of male masculinity.
New model,
right?
So speaking of new models,
yeah.
Go ahead.
He's just not afraid to vote for a woman.
He's not afraid of getting apparently STDs from the hired help either, but I digress.
Heyo. That's a heyo.
Yeah. All right. So that's there he is. There he is. There is the new symbol of masculinity, right? I mean, that's who we're supposed to be like. Apparently, I'm supposed to kind of let my hair recede and act smarmy. Is that possible? Can you go to school to be smarmy? Is that how we got that? I know he's a lawyer. Is there a class you can take in law school? Any lawyers out there? Can you help us? Is there a class in law school you can be smarmy? Or does that just come with the territory? Chris, what do you think?
To be honest with you, I understand Adam Schiff is running courses on that strictly for the Democrat Party. So they all look to Adam Schiff for that sort of smarmy thing. That's where Swalwell learned his trade, and that's where Jayapal learned her trade. All those smarmy types, they all learned from Adam Schiff. The only thing is the big difference between Adam Schiff, Emhoff, and all those smarmy types is Adam Smith does his smarmy with a straight face.
Yeah. Well, I think you can be smarmy and skanky. Trixie in the Mix brought up smarmy and skanky. So I think skank as in
skank
as in
smanky, smarmy and skanky. I like it.
Yeah, that's a good word. That's a good morning. So before further ado, I'm wearing, as I promised yesterday, one of the Sea of Mud. There it is. There's the sticker, and I'm wearing one of the shirts, one of my favorite, very comfortable and classy. So thank you for the shirt. It's always great to have it on. Anyway, back to the show. So there's something else that's in the news. Did you see that Tim Walz apparently had chow mein when he was in China?
Ow! Oh, that's gotta hurt. He had the fang treatment, if you will, right?
Oh man! Well, I was looking forward to using that this morning. I thought it's like, oh boy, this is gonna be fun.
We teed that up for this
All right,
week. But it had to happen. It had to happen.
Yeah, chow mein.
Chow mein. Yeah, the fang stew, if you will.
Fang. What is it about lefties and illicit relationships with Chinese women? Well, there's a pattern here.
Chinese spies. That's a different story. Yeah. Or communists. It's definitely communist women. It's not
ICOMs.
Yeah, it's definitely not ethnic, but it's definitely ideology. They love commie women for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Maybe it's that General Zhao's chicken. Just saying,
Oh, I like that. But he is chicken. That's why he never goes to battle.
Yeah. Well, he never went to battle, but he went to have chow mein. Just saying. So there you go.
All right. So some good news, by the way, for fans of Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is now released from prison. Unfortunately, he did have to serve his full term. I can cut the hair, but I kind of like it. So, but again, political prisoners have been kept. So one political prisoner is released, Tony, but another political prisoner goes to jail. And that I said this the other day. Remember the guy from we talked about this here. The guy did Jimmy Pesto's voice on Bob's Burgers. He's a comedian. He's done a lot of stuff. Jay Johnston. He's thrown in jail for simply being there and walking into the Capitol building when invited. From January 6th. Yeah, so he's a January 6th political prisoner. And as I said, he was taken off of Bob's Burgers because he was there. This is what Hollywood, he's blackballed now from any kind of job just because he spoke his mind.
Just texted Steve Bannon, welcome back.
Yes, welcome back, Steve.
Welcome back, Steve.
That's right. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When OPEC, did you know Qatar once left OPEC? The country Qatar left OPEC? And then they came.
You mean Welcome Back, Qatar?
Yes.
Wasn't that a TV series with
Welcome Back, Qatar? That's what they said. Yep.
Is that different?
Oh, Freddie Boom Boom Washington.
Yeah. Wasn't he the guy did he become a sheik?
No. No, I don't think so. I
thought he played a sheik in Police Academy.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Wow, you there. I know Jamie
I'm digressing. He did play in Spaceballs. He had like the big old hat on. I know he made the sounds with he had a big white helmet hat on. And
that's Michael Winslow was
Michael Winslow. That's right.
That's right. He was the guy with the voice, Motormouth Jones, if you will.
Yeah.
So Jay Johnston is a new political prisoner from the Biden-Harris administration who says that Donald Trump is going to throw political prisoners in jail. And this is the problem here. They spent the last 4 years doing so, and they're telling you, they're gaslighting you into believing that Donald Trump, who didn't do it over 3.5 years, is going to do it. Sure, he's going to weed out the corrupt, but the corrupt belong in jail.
So I'm glad because I think we talked a little bit about this yesterday with Mike McCormick, right? We spoke about. So obviously, I think we need to change the lexicon because if you broke the law, it's kind of they always say it. Well, we're a country of laws. Like, okay, do you understand what that means? Because that means that they apply to you then too. So there's about 5 people I think that Trump should go after appropriately. One of them is Adam Schiff. Adam, who he's running for senator in California, right? I mean,
yes, he looks like he's going to win. I still think Steve Garvey has a puncher's chance, but the polls look bad for
Garvey's great. Yeah. Well, I'm heading out there tomorrow, by the way. I'm going out to Whiskey a Go-Go.
Yes.
So anyway, so I will, but anyway, I digress. But Adam Schiff, I don't care if he's a senator or not. He should be investigated and prosecuted for having leaked information, which, by the way, I don't know how you go after someone for actually not leaking information. He actually made up information. So I don't know what law that is, but I'm sure there's a law out there that he broke.
No,
And
because
then
there's a stipulation in the DOJ's charter, Part 5, Chapter 10, and Appendix 6. It
yeah,
says, "Except for Democrats."
except for Democrats.
Right.
Yeah, the whole Jason, and yeah, and so US and Air Crew says the whole J6 committee, yeah.
Hmm.
Liz Cheney's had got a complaint against her in the DC bar
Yep.
for the Hutchinson stuff. And
Adam
then go ahead, I'm sorry.
Adam Wimsinger too, she should go.
Who?
Kinzinger.
Oh, Kinzinger. Yeah.
Yeah,
That little
Wimsinger, sorry.
crybaby guy that actually shot a reporter or something the other day with that
Wibzinger, yes,
AR.
yes. Oh gosh, what a
Anyway, so him, and then obviously Mark Milley, former general. I think that's a guy that needs to be called back. By the way, when you're a general, you never retire, really. They can call you back at any time and put the habeas corpus on you. And I think that guy needs to be habeas and grabbed big time. So I think those are some of the first folks I should be held accountable. Plus, I'm just going to say it, Nancy Pelosi. Nancy, in her twilight years. Is there a vodka named Twilight? If not, we should invent that because boy, she'd be drinking that stuff by the gallon.
I think
But
she invented that.
I think so. Anyway, so because I don't think I think there's things that's done beyond the scope of her ability to have immunity, being the former Speaker of the House. I think she set. Remember Marion Barry? The bitch set me up. So
Yeah,
I
very,
think
very.
that can be said of Nancy regarding Trump. I don't think Trump would ever say that though. Just saying. So
No, but, Nancy Pelosi,
just
again, yeah, she should be investigated. A lot of people should be too, and all these and some of the and you go a little bit lower than that, these, people in Georgia, or parts of Georgia who kicked out Republican, poll watchers in 2020. You talk
yeah,
look at the people in Pennsylvania who hid the rest of the counting from the outside
yeah.
world, that sort of thing. The fact that some of these, the excuse me, vote counting was closed. Yeah, this thing should be looked into. Even if it means that Trump still lost the 2020 election, they still should be looked into because this is about the future of election integrity. And that's the truth.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it is the truth. So, by the way, I'm just answering about the clearances. Yes, all clearances. Trixie in the mix said all clearances need to be revoked. They should be,
That should
especially
be
especially Jim Clapper, John Brennan, Mark
well,
Milley, all those guys.
well, Trixie, Tony, you bring up a good point. When the Democrats tell you that Trump is going to go after people, well, basically, he's not going to toss them in jail. But yes, it looks like he would uh, get rid of the clearances for certain people who are pretty much
Well,
suppressing the
it's
nation in
common
the first
sense,
place. Yeah,
Chris.
yeah.
If you're out of government, you shouldn't have a clearance. I don't care if you're a former whatever. It makes no sense. All this is the way the deep state continues to maintain control because these guys cross over, uh, go in to start working, and this is the Vance thing. Uh, Senator Vance was on with Jake, tap dancer Tapper,
Yes.
Tapper Toe. Anyway, Jake was on there and was confronted by Senator Vance, JD Vance, and said basically, because did you know that? Yeah, there he is. Did you know that Jake Tapper is neutral? He's a reporter. I'm using air quotes like my friend Chris Plant. I always give Chris the credit for that. But anyway, I'm
Yes.
using air quotes here because Jake's a reporter and he's supposed to be neutral. And so Larry, I recommend, Larry and I are friends. Larry, go watch Larry. This is a great segment to go through and explain the whole thing. But the only thing I want to hit here, Chris, is the part where JD Vance calls out Tapper, and Tapper says, "Well, there's all these Republicans who are speaking against Trump. How can that be? They're all good Republicans." And Vance says, "No, they're not. They're actually." He didn't say deep state, but he says they're members of the permanent establishment, and all they do is get us in wars to make money. I think that's true. I think that's very true. And that's why Trump was successful. And JD says that's like Trump was successful because all these guys that were sent in to control him, like Kelly, like Rance Priebus, like H.R. McMaster, they all failed. And that's why there was constant chaos, because they weren't trying to help Trump. They were trying to control Trump. And Larry makes a point here, and shout out to Larry. We should try to get him on the show sometime. I'll have to reach out and ask him again to come on sometime.
Oh, that would be nice. It
Anyway,
would be
yeah.
fantastic to have him
Well, I'll
on.
get Larry. I mean, I was just texting with him this morning because I told him this was a great segment. But I'm just saying that JD called out Tapper for the shill he is, and that basically Tapper is the tongue of the deep state. Can I say that? I guess I can say that. I said it. So yeah, there you go. So
Yeah, the
he's
mouthpiece, if you will. Yes.
Is he like Colonel Lingus? Remember that from Saturday Night Live, Colonel Lingus?
He was pretty cunning.
Yeah, Colonel Lingus. That was a character on Saturday Night
That's
Live.
what I would say.
Just saying. Yeah. Anyway, back to your schedule. I just want to get those things out there real quick. And I think you had some things that you wanted to talk about. So.
Yeah, it's all good. By the way, we are experiencing some lag, so it's pulling off our timing a little bit. We'll work on that lag thing. I guess everybody's internet is kind of down. It's a little weird. But did you watch Kamala Harris again recently? Of course, it's always fun to watch her.
Well, I saw parts of it. What do you want to hit? Because there's so much. Everything is bad. It's like everybody comments. It's like a bad episode of VP. VP is better because it's at least funny. She's just cringe. So
well, I have some. Let's do the Veep one first, then, because this is just too funny. I'll get to the serious stuff later on because I have serious issues with this woman sometimes when it comes to all the gaslighting and the lying when it comes to her party and everything else. Well, this time she did a cutesy little campaign stop. Try to show off how much, or try to talk to the working people of the world, and
working people.
That's right. And she tries to touch this razor sharp silicone.
Oh my God! Yes, this is the VP moment. Yeah,
this is fun. Yeah, this is the Veep moment.
Can I touch it?
This is actually a harvested U-Rod where we actually do grow it. So this is what it looks like when it comes out of our process of that. Do not touch it.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, sharp. Yeah, very sharp.
Okay,
so with that being said.
Now that, my friends, would be a very interesting and viral video had she touched it.
Well, I think then she could have wiped her face with her hand. That would have been kind of interesting. So yeah.
Oh, that's gotta. It's the thing is though, her entire tenure as vice president is straight out of Veep. I mean, it's funny. You think that Julia Louis-Dreyfus may have modeled a lot of the character during her era after Kamala Harris.
I think she did.
Yeah.
I just say, like, there's several series that have more truth in them than not. I think the Veep has mostly truth about Kamala. It's like have you seen the series Ray Donovan? Man, oh man, makes me feel good about my life when I watch that show.
Yeah, same here.
It's about Hollywood and the deep under, and then the X-Files has way more truth in it than people understand. I was having a conversation with someone from the old state, not the deep state, about this yesterday, about how much is embedded within the X-Files. But I digress. But let's get back to Kamala Mala Ding Dong. So what do you have for us here?
Well, if you'll note, I'm going to pull this article from the Post up here. Remember we talked about this yesterday, the MSG rally.
A little bit, yeah.
The MSNBC, the Democrats, and all these lefties, including Walls, had brought up analogies to Adolf Hitler. And we've already heard several times Kamala Harris refer to Donald Trump as Hitler. Well,
yeah.
Trump says one thing, and she's aghast. Watch.
Anyone who refuses to bend a knee or dares to criticize him would qualify, in his mind, as the enemy within, like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials.
Huh.
It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans.
All right. So daily, she, Walls, and her cohorts, plus the media, which, as we already know, MSNBC among them, is their news of the day, and we saw this in the O'Keefe video. Their news of the day is tantamount is basically based on the message of the day from the Harris campaign. Their job is to get Harris elected. So all they do is call Trump a Nazi. Trump brings it up once, and all of a sudden she's upset. She's sad and she's shocked and aghast.
Well, if what she's saying is true, Jim Acosta would be in Sing Sing right now. Just saying, Jim, he would have been put in there as like you just straight to Sing Sing for you.
Again,
And so that's not true. And then secondly, look, I know Donald Trump. I've met him. We're not friends, but obviously I advised him, and I advised a lot of folks that work for him. You know, he's having a rally right here in North Carolina on Wednesday, tomorrow. I can't go because I'm heading out to LA, but he's going to be in Rocky Mount. So he's going to be here with good folks. He's going to be with my friend and neighbor Lori Buckout, who's running for the 1st district here in North Carolina. My point being is oh, by the way, did you see all the black Nazis and Hindu Nazis and Rastafarian Nazis at the Madison Square Garden? I could not believe how many people were self-identifying as Nazis. They're all saying, "Hey, we're all Nazis here." Apparently,
the Rastafarian Nazis have style.
I like them. I think it's like they're the best because they're always they smell like patchouli and drive like a madman. Just saying, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So, but my point being is that the people who showed up at Madison Square Garden understood that they were being called Nazis, and they didn't freaking care. And I didn't know that people with yarmulkes and Jewish flags could, By the way, did you remember, Chris, that at the DNC, the Democrat National Convention, that the Jews had to hide in rooms off the main floor because they would be attacked by the Hamas caucus otherwise? Did you know that?
That's right. So, so basically, they segregated. Are you saying that the Democrats segregated Jewish people into, let's say, little areas, or
just saying? Yeah.
Well, since they say things like that, fair game would be, I don't know, virtual camps, if you will, separating them from the rest of the population. There is that what you're saying?
They were in concentration rooms. Yeah. They were.
And they weren't playing the old-fashioned 1970s very cool game show, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
Of the same
There
name.
was no Gene Rayburn there, if that's what you're asking. No. Although I think Gene Rayburn will be brought back from the grave just to vote. Just saying. Democrats and all.
I was watching the modern. I was Game Show Network is re-airing those horrible modern match games with what's his name, Adam Baldwin.
Oh,
there's another guy should go. There's another guy should go hunting with Tim Walz and Dick Cheney. Alec Baldwin. But it's so terrible. Think about this match game. The contestants had fun there. They were a little off, but the panelists were always drunk. They always had a few before the show to make everything
made it better. Yeah,
you can't do that today. You just cannot do that today. And that's what makes match game less fun to watch.
I don't know if you had match game with the current Alec Baldwin with a gun. That could be interesting because he, whirls around and takes shots at people. Man, oh man, you could keep their heads down. That'd be fun. That could be like match duck game, right?
I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
Duck.
So
duck goose.
So doing shots before match game would be a lot different now than it was back in the 70s. That's what you're saying, right?
A shot of Jack Daniels, a 45 shot. Man, oh man, that's game show gold right there, Chris. You ought to copyright that. Feel free to use it.
I think we should. There we go.
Speaking of people who aren't afraid of ducking and game shows and shots, no matter what, Dr. Jerry Corsi, right?
And Dr. Corsi is here, as a matter of fact. And
there's Dr. Jerry Corsi. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate the kind words.
So, Jerry, we're just coming up with great ideas for the future here. Do you think that we should bring back the game show and have Alec Baldwin take shots at people? I think that would be exciting. They have to duck down and make sure that they don't get hit. Right, Chris, and whoever gets through the first round wins. Right, whoever doesn't have an injury.
Yeah, whoever survives a little bit. The bonus round will be challenging Tim Walz to a gun loading competition. Whoever does it faster wins.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't want to be in a movie set with him. That's for sure.
No. Well, it's like remember that movie with Richard Dawson and Arnold, The Running Man. It could be
The Running Man. That was fantastic.
Yes, I remember that.
You also had Lamar from Revenge of the Nerds, by the way.
Yeah, well, I think Baldwin's in for a big shock on election day when Kamala crashes and burns. Yeah, and I think she's going to crash and burn. And the Alex Baldwins of the world are going to start pulling what hair they have left out of their heads and screaming.
Oh, we're going to see the collective screams and hissy fits for the next 4 years.
Oh,
The
yeah, they're
initial
gonna.
ones are going to be a lot of fun. Remember that time all those Hillary supporters just went out and screamed because they lost. They just went outside, had a collective scream.
Oh,
They
I mean,
did
these
that
people,
in the nude too. They went out in some forest somewhere and just took their clothes off and started screaming.
well,
Yeah,
they
just
don't.
like,
They don't know what else to do. I mean, they have no. Their verbal skills are pretty limited.
True.
They have not been taught anything in college except to ask for sex operation change. They want to change their gender by changing their sex organs. Yeah, if that's their level of intelligence, we're not dealing with really bright people. Please
Basically.
mutilate me,
well, no, I
mutilate
mean,
me.
that's the thing. It's like I basically said today. I said on X because I posted that thing that Chris ran earlier regarding Kamala being trying to touch spiky things. I guess she had flashbacks to being out with Mayor Brown, but I
Yes.
digress. I don't want to go down that path.
No, we don't want to go
Anyway,
down that one.
I don't want to talk about spiky things in the mayor. But anyway, but when she did that, Larry, the whole thing with what she did to me is she's a moron. She's just a moron. I mean, I can't put a happy face on it, to quote
Well,
my friend Catherine
yeah,
Harris. So, but she basically she's a moron, and anybody who votes for her has to admire morons. What do you think? I don't want to get you in trouble, Jerry, but
I think she must be possessed by some kind of a really bizarre demon who his motivation is he gets her to say things and then he laughs because they're so stupid. So that's all the cackling, and then she's not in control of her own thought process, if there is one there.
clearly not. No,
And,
and then well, then her linguistics are interesting because she always falls. There she is.
there she
That's
is.
her at night. With the Doug.
There's your demon.
See,
right
that's
there.
what Doug does to you. If you're there with Doug long enough, you turn into that. I wonder if her head spins around at like midnight.
Well, only if she doesn't get her cocaine supply.
Oh, hey yo.
No, let's hit that. I want to hit that because our friend Cherie Curry on X said that she said as a former addict, a counselor, and she put this on X. You can go check it out. I tweeted it too.
Right.
Cherie Curry says she thinks that Kamala has both a cocaine problem and a drinking problem. So
I don't think there's.
I didn't say that, but she did.
Well, I mean, look, none of us know this for certain, but watching her behavior in some of these interviews, she certainly is exhibiting the kind of bizarre behavior you see from people on cocaine.
Yeah.
They tend to laugh at things. They don't make sense. They can't complete a sentence. Then one thought comes and another thought crosses it in a path, and they don't know which one to go to, so they try to say them both at the same time. I mean, she acts like she's either drunk or on cocaine, and when you hear the stories coming out of the White House where they're saying the cocaine was not Hunter Biden's, but it was belonged to Kamala.
They know who it is. They know who it is. I mean, they have DNA evidence. So.
Well, the Secret Service in the White House are not slouches. They know everything that's going on. They're watching everything. They're standing there in the hall talking into their cuffs 90% of the time. If anybody moves around, which room you're in is reported.
Right. Yeah.
And so therefore.
Well, Jared, let me ask you a question about that. Do you think that her addiction is why she can't actually think on her feet and she has to fall back on the same can lines over and over?
Well, I don't think it's entirely.
I'm completely serious about that question.
Yeah, well, I think she has. First of all, I think she's got limited mental capacity to begin with. She's not going to do well at Harvard. Of course, today at Harvard she might excel. I mean, she could plagiarize papers and try to
use
apply
AI
to
for everything.
Yeah, she plagiarized Wikipedia. I mean, come on, of all the things.
That's desperate. That's beyond desperate.
I mean, Wikipedia is ubiquitous for these people, and it's their source of information. Of course, you look at my Wikipedia, I mean, my Wikipedia is huge. I can't correct it. You can't change.
No, they won't correct
No.
mine. Mine is lefty approved. They will not correct mine.
They won't
So
correct
it's
them.
amazing.
So, but back to Kamala, I mean, the worst thing that the best way to defeat Kamala, and in fact, it was done, is just give her a microphone. And, I don't think she survived that Brent Baer interview. I think that was a crushing blow. That was her equivalent of Joe Biden's debate with Trump.
Yeah.
And anybody who watched that knew that the woman really didn't know what she was doing, didn't belong at that level. I mean, Brent Baer was not exactly asking her hardball, devastating questions.
No, I think Brett was fair. I don't think he tried to get her on anything, but she got herself. It was like,
yeah, Brett was irritated. I think I had a 5 o'clock hit to get her.
Yeah, he was here. I get that. He had the right to be irritated.
And they wanted him to show it on the 6 o'clock show.
Yeah.
And it was 20 minutes or 15 minutes into it, and she hadn't shown up, and the clock was running down. So they were under pressure to get an interview. They went to all this trouble to get the interview, and now they're stuck and won't have something to play on the 6 o'clock show. Well, that's not how it's done. I mean, if you've been at the level of media that we've been at, I mean, I've flown on the presidential plane with Romney when he was running for president. It was, that was his campaign plane, but it was a presidential campaign.
Right.
And these things are all very carefully orchestrated, and
a
lot of time and money goes into these interviews, and you don't deal with them lightly. Postponing them and showing up not in a condition to be interviewed that's not going to do well for Kamala. The whole campaign and Waltz, more and more is coming out about Waltz. Now we've got the Chinese saying he had an affair with some underage girl when he's over there. I mean, the more and more stuff of this guy comes out, the worse he is. And the whole bunch of them act like they're all deranged. I mean, these are the worst candidates I've seen in my lifetime. As I say, it's worse than George Wallace and Curtis LeMay. George Wallace was open racist, and Curtis LeMay wanted to bomb everybody he ever saw. He wanted to go to nuclear war. He wanted to go to nuclear war with Russia during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He was the figure for the general smoking the cigar in Dr. Strangelove, if anybody remembers that movie. He was.
Oh well, he was two generals. He was also in
7 Days in May.
7 Days in May. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in 7 Days in May. Both were based on Curtis LeMay.
Yeah.
He was he was a bigger than life figure who did the strategic bombing in World War II. He bombed Germany. They figured out the daytime raids and strategic bombing to pinpoint individual factories and military sites was going to get a lot of people killed. After they went after the Swinehart raid on the ball bearing plants deep into Germany, they lost so many airplanes that they quit flying for 3 months, and eventually went to the nighttime strategy, and then they started firebombing cities.
Yeah,
they learned how to create a firestorm.
And then he did the same thing in Tokyo. He figured out the B-29s weren't working at 30,000 feet. The high altitude precision bombing wasn't working, so he brought him in at 2,000 feet and firebombed Tokyo.
And Tokyo was all paper. I mean, it was all the houses were. There was a tinderbox, and they, all the oxygen was sucked out of those cities, and people died of asphyxiation. It was a horrible way to die.
Once that fire got going, people would literally be running down the street, and the fire would catch them because it was so hot. The fire almost became a living thing and would actually catch them and burn them. I mean, it was amazing. From all
it was yes. I mean, I've read different books on it, and it's been horrifying. But this was Curtis LeMay, and okay, so war is hell, and we shouldn't be fighting wars anymore. We have two weapons today that are just too terrifying to be used. But the point is, these Democrats are insane.
Yes.
And they will, every one of the ideas that the Democrats have is a bad idea. I'm saying the Democratic Party had advanced from being Democrats to being a communist party. And now it's gone from a communist party to becoming a treasonous party because they want to have election fraud. They want to destroy the fundamental bedrock of our rights, which is voting. They want to do everything they can to corrupt the Constitution. They want to destroy Trump as president, and they are engaging in insurrectionist activities while blaming Trump as being the insurrectionist. And so, therefore, some of these, I saw the New York Times even ran a story today about the supervisors and board of supervisors are preparing, and Cleta Mitchell's played a big role in this. Our attorney in Washington, D.C., who's been on our side for decades, she getting the board of supervisors to realize that they can say an election is fraudulent and they don't have to certify it. Now, this is an important step.
Yeah.
But the point is that, if the Democrats, there's Cleta Mitchell, she's a brilliant attorney and a good friend.
Yeah.
And, Cleta at one time represented me when I was creating a 501c3.
Good.
And the point is that the Democratic Party's gone overboard. They are now committing that some of these election frauds are no longer cute or funny or clever. They're treasonous activities, and the penalty should be criminal charges with treason as the major charge, because you can't destroy election integrity without attacking the fundamental principles of our rights.
Yeah.
Whether it's Declaration of Independence or Constitution or the 14th Amendment franchising rights, these are enshrined in U.S. law as one of the more sacrosanct rights that we have. When you start messing with elections, you're committing treason, and these people should hang.
Right.
Well, let me do a quick break, and I want to have you update us on what you found in the investigations that you have going right now regarding the algorithms and all that. But let me do a quick read, because we have to pay the bills. So for those who are paying attention, which if you're here, you should be paying attention. We want you to pay attention and go check out colonialmetalsgroup.com/ed-henry. Go talk to our friend Paul Stone at Colonial Metals and his team, and they want to fix you up so that your family finances will endure no matter whatever hardships come your way. And look, we don't know what's going to happen a week from today, but we have hopes, dreams, and aspirations that we don't want Kamala touching. Just saying, we don't want that. We don't want those touched. We're fine, Miss Vice President. Don't touch our dreams, aspirations, or anything else that we own. So a good way of making sure that she can't touch you or your stuff is getting metals and silver. It's a good way to secure your family's future, especially from Kamala. Just saying, because man, oh man, if she gets in, it's going to be bad. And even if she doesn't get in, if we have President Trump return, which we all hope for, it's going to take some time to turn the ship of state in the direction of prosperity. So in the meantime, no matter what, you can serve your family and serve your interests by checking out Colonial Metals. Check out Paul Stone, 800-805-4034, 800-805-4034. And there's our friend. There's the slave master, Ed. Good morning, Ed. And then just check it out. Go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/ed-henry. You can see there in the flyer in the banner below. There you go. And again, 800-805-4034. Anyway, back to Jerry and his update. So Jerry, you've been traveling around the country. You've been to a number of critical states. Tell us where we're at regarding your investigation and what we have to look at coming up here a week from today.
Well, if you look at God's Five Stones, which is our God5stones.com, GODS, no apostrophe, and they spell out five, F-I-V-E, and stones is plural, Gods5stones.com. We're reporting on all of the investigations we've done, and
great.
The genius has really been Andrew Paquette. Dr. Paquette has found algorithms now. We're reporting today that there are algorithms in Arizona. And Arizona has what we're finding also. They have like 1,175,000 clone records in their database. These are duplicate records. It's a clear violation of the Help America Vote Act, HAVA. Can't have no voters to have more than one state ID, but they've got over 500,000 in Arizona still on the voter database, legitimate state IDs. 500,000 people have double records. Okay, now that's just complete opportunity for the algorithms to be used to vote those illegally. And I wrote an article yesterday. I'm also working with Georgia, and I'll be reporting on Georgia. I did an article for American Thinker, which will be published on Thursday. Georgia has now found they have one record of, in the current election, 2024 already, they have found 3,000 voters who have voted early or cast absentee ballots who are not on the voter registration list.
Wow.
Okay, well, probably they were on the registration list for 20 minutes when they did do the absentee ballot, and they were taken off. But they even went and searched past, records of the voter ID list. They can't find these people on them.
Wow.
Well, they also found one record where what they did is they took someone who lives probably in South Carolina. They created a duplicate record for that person, a clone. They took the original record off of someone who had lived in Georgia. It was purged out as a duplicate. They voted the clone. Okay, then they put the original back in and voted it. Okay, so they had a double vote, and they could document this from the voter registration rolls that are officially in Georgia right now. So what they're doing in Georgia is they're documenting actual fraudulent cases using the algorithms.
Holy cow.
This is extremely important because we haven't had before real proof that voter fraud is going on. Now, as of today, we can prove not only that the algorithms are correct, they are there, they are being used for what we say they're being used for, which is fraudulent voting. And in every state, including Ohio, there are tens of thousands of records that are clone votes. They don't belong there, and they're illegal. And yet they are being voted in Georgia, and we now have the records of them being voted. We can identify voter by voter who has been used to cheat. So now we've got evidence that can go into court, and these can be criminal charges filed now.
Good.
Okay,
finally.
because these are absolute instances of fraud. It's undeniable. What I saw yesterday and what I wrote up yesterday for American Thinker, and the article, I'm going to pull it up here and I'll read you a couple of things I wrote in this article, because I didn't pull any punches in this article. I'm saying this is now treasonous behavior.
Okay, I got to point out one thing in here. I have this particular section of Andrew Paquette's report here. The shaded areas for everybody, the obvious part of the shaded areas is these are presidential election years. If you look at them and you note that there are more clone voters, sometimes double or nearly double what the previous year had in these shaded presidential years. And what's not shaded is you're also going to find something similar in congressional election years as well. The other ones, the off years, if you will, every 2 years. Those numbers are a lot higher, my friends, than the non-congressional and non-presidential election years. I believe there is something to that. What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, they use these algorithms in all of the elections, and they also use them for the down ballot races. In other words, House of Representatives, Senate, state legislature, all the way down to judges and local officials, they can cheat on all those elections. Now, I start off this article by saying we now have proof that the Georgia State Board of Elections creates illegal cloned voter IDs in the thousands, capable of being activated to create certifiable voters in an election fraud scheme consistent with embedding cryptographic codes in the State Board of Election voter registration database. As I say, and the second sentence, as reported on our website, gods5stones.com, Andrew Paquette, PhD, has been algorithms have been discovered in New York, Ohio, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. So those Wisconsin, Arizona, and now Georgia and Pennsylvania, 4 of the battleground states. And we have yet to report on the algorithms that have been found in New Jersey, Texas, and Hawaii. Okay, and so therefore, over 3,000. There was a video. This is the Georgia Nerds. You can look them up on Ripple. They go by the GA Nerds _real. I've got it linked in the article. You'll see it on Thursday. And I'm saying that these 3,000 votes were cast. They were not in the Georgia State Board of Election voter registration database at the time. Voting without being registered is a prima facie evidence of election fraud. The Georgia Nerds found the 3,000 absentee ballots by comparing the Georgia State Board of Election absentee voter file with the Georgia State Board of Election voter history file and a current October voter roll. Okay, so they also found over 8,700 non-reconciled votes in the Georgia 2020 election that were certified as absentee voting, but they were not in the absentee file. So now what they've done, these patriots in Georgia have gone into the databases and they've identified individual records that are clearly fraudulent. They've documented the fraud. They put it in videos. They showed it to us. We're confirming. Andrew Paquette's going to look at the Georgia database next. I'm sure he's going to find algorithms, and I'm sure you couldn't do this scheme without algorithms. So going into the election, we now have proof positive of fraud. And when this article is out on Thursday, I'm calling for there to be criminal prosecutions of the state officials all the way up to the governor. Because if they're all covering this up, they're all complicit. Right. And if they're not investigating it, it's at least neglect of their duties to investigate fraud when it's been pointed out to them. And so if they're all politically motivated, they can all hang as traitors.
Well, so that's my question to you, Jerry. My impression is both sides do this. That is to say that the Democrats, Republicans are conspiring for purposes of trying to manipulate the election against Trump and anybody else they don't like. Would that be accurate?
I think that my real heart of hearts feeling is that this
we're talking about Georgia too, right? I mean, Georgia is
this is Georgia I'm talking about. Except Georgia's not in control. This is Atlanta, and you're dealing with the control of the state government.
Well, you just mentioned though that the Republicans are complicit if they don't investigate, right?
Well, I mean the Republican name. I mean, first of all, I think this is an intelligence agency scheme because it's so complex.
No, I don't doubt that.
Okay, I don't doubt that either. So it's available for either side to use. Now, once you go into Georgia and you talk with people who are voted Republican, but yet they side with the Democrats. They're really woke. They don't want to offend the woke. You know, they become complicit. Now, I don't doubt the intelligence agencies could use these algorithms any way they wanted to. Okay, and so if they wanted to use them to support Trump, they could do it. I think in this election, and certainly in 2020, they were all to make sure that Trump, all of the forces aligned, intelligence agencies and the Democrats and the rhinos, all aligned that they didn't want Trump in. So Republican Democrat is losing its fundamental meaning. And I think if you watch the Madison Square Garden event and you listen to Robert Kennedy's speech, where he said, you know, the same line that Ronald Reagan used, I didn't leave the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party left me.
Well, I was just texting with Tulsi Gabbard yesterday, and Tulsi, I think, I didn't ask her this directly. I just thanked her for crossing over. But yeah, I think Tulsi felt the same way. Just saying. Yeah, anyway, I have a question for you relating to, transition in a good way, our way, not their way. Just saying.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Gary, do you think that Tulsi Gabbard was too good looking to be a Democrat? Oh, no, I don't answer that. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Oh, wow, that's gotta hurt. Oh boy,
don't answer that. I'll get you in trouble. Anyway, but with
I've been in
said,
trouble before, but you know,
I know.
Yeah, he's no stranger to trouble there.
We love you, Tulsi. We love you. We're joking in a good way. So anyway,
I'm glad to see that you changed parties, and I'm very pleased to see that Robert Kennedy did as well, and they're outspoken about it because this is not the traditional Democratic Party.
Oh, okay. That's by the way, that's not Tulsi Gabbard.
No, it's not. But it's your case in point.
Yeah, I mean, look, these people are beginning to look and act demented. They're looking like they're possessed. They're
I
so
I remember them acting like this as long back as I can remember, Jerry. I mean, these
well.
people have been very consistently demented. I
It
think it's
it
their brand.
it goes back. I mean, to it certainly goes back to Lyndon Johnson when it started turning in a direction of really being Marxist oriented. Now,
Yeah.
Johnson really was not. Johnson was controlled and was easily bribable for some of the indiscretions he committed in
Totally
his
corrupt,
life.
completely corrupt.
Completely corrupt.
Everything about him was corrupt.
And what ultimately got Johnson was the Vietnam War, but he had no hesitation to lie, cheat, steal, commit adultery, do anything he wanted to do. This guy it was really one of my turning points. I was raised in a family that adored Franklin Roosevelt. My father worked for a labor union. He was clearly a Democrat. He had supported John Kennedy very strongly. I've supported Kennedy when I was a kid and still admire Kennedy's career. So I don't have to admire everything about Kennedy, but I do admire the fact that towards the end of his life, he was realizing, we matured, and he was realizing the consequences of going to war and was beginning to become a peacemaker. We need more peacemakers in government. These people are corrupt. They're easily bought. I mean, even Johnson, with Billy Saul Estes and all the other people, they were buying hotels and holding sex and drug parties for the congressmen and senators and filming them, which they're still doing today. And, P. Diddy is just another example of the way that this behavior gets done by the elite. I've just published a book. I'm working with Post Hill Press now as an acquiring editor. Craig Lund has a book called Silicon Satan, which I want to show. This book, Craig was in Silicon Valley. He was a rising executive. He was going to become a billionaire. He was engaged in all the satanic activities, and Craig decided not to do it. Well, they just about ruined his life. He's living offline in the wilderness in an enclave, but he wrote this book, and it explains all the satanic things going on in Hollywood. And he's got a website, so he's going to decode from a satanic perspective P. Diddy and all the other things we see in the celebrities. It's going to be a very powerful book, a very powerful website.
Yeah, well, I first on that, boy, anybody who endorses Kamala at this point has had a gun to their head. We're all in the Johnson and Johnson baby oil circle of
Right.
of a certain rock star. I mean, no, it's true. I mean, come on,
true.
Lube it up. It's true. And so, like Leonardo DiCaprio just endorsed her, Bryan Cranston, Beyonce. But Beyonce got $10 million. Just saying. I mean, can you imagine, Jerry? Would you ever want to do a gig where you just show up and speak for 3 minutes to get $10 million? I'd love that gig. That's quite the gig.
Yeah, I mean, except if you have to lose your soul to do it.
Well, I wouldn't. I like to play anyway. So we'll look forward to that. I'm sure you'll come back. But in the meantime, people need to check out your books. Let's see. Let's start with the new one. This is the first. This is the newest one, right? Global Manifest.
That's the newest one. I'm just beginning to publicize that.
Getting that. I got it.
Bannon published. It's a war room book, and now that Bannon's out, I think we'll do more with it.
Yeah. And the second one in the series is the second oldest. Is the truth about what's going on.
Yeah, that one's a very important. That one's one of my more important books, and it
check that out.
Really does describe.
And my favorite, because I've got a degree in environmental studies, is the one about energy and global warming. I use this all the time, Jerry, because the left has made this their religion, and we need to end their religion. Just saying.
That book is very solid on the science, and it's
excellent.
Makes no doubt.
And
before we go,
and let's not forget this one, the JFK book. Let's go to the final.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
I don't have that, but yeah, go out and get that.
Yes.
Well, we can get you one of those. I mean, look, the JFK book is one that shows that the CIA. These are the X-rays. Dr. Mantic, who did optical density measurements of the X-rays. The X-rays show clearly shots from the front. You can see the shot that entered in the forehead above the right eye, and the bullets breaking up in the front of the skull, and the largest fragments in the back of the skull, and it doesn't exit. It's clearly a frontal shot. This evidence has been around in the archives. The three X-rays are all altered to mask evidence of frontal shots. The book is definitive, and the CIA has been lying for 61 years. This is consistent with what I'm saying now about the CIA trying to run elections. We've been living in a CIA Truman Show for at least since 1963.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people track it back to that, but so we'll check that out. But I want to, people are going to start jumping off to go see War Room. But before they go, Jerry, one last thing. So you've identified these algorithms in multiple states. My question to you is this: can we count on an overwhelming majority of folks showing up for President Trump? Will that overwhelm the algorithm or whatever's going on?
Yes, that's the major solution to this problem, is for people not to vote. And don't say the election's rigged, my vote doesn't count. If a massive number of voters showing up at the polls and voting for Trump will create numbers where the election can't be stolen. It would be too obvious. So the too big to rig is a solid strategy, and I fully endorse it. Go vote.
Go
vote.
Yeah,
but go vote only once. Don't do it with the Democrats.
We're not Democrats. Although I guess we could go track down.
Don't vote early and often.
Well, we'll go track down Andy Rooney and some other dead, folks and bring them out.
You ever wonder who I voted for today?
Yeah.
I do.
Why did I vote for a Democrat? I don't know.
Ever since I
really
died, I voted
bothers
for
me.
Democrat. Did you guys see that Ray Stevens did a song after 2000 about his dead grandfather voting for a Democrat? So
there you go.
That guy cracks me up too.
Well, look.
All right, and everybody's saying they already voted. Well, get a friend out. Go get friends out. Get your
And they'll
friends
tell
out.
two friends, and
Make
they'll
sure-
tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and so on.
Yeah, get out and vote. Too big to rig. Make sure you
right.
get there and vote. And if they say the machines are broken or that, they don't put up with any of the attempts to block your vote. Get there, insist to vote, stay until you do vote, ask for a paper ballot or for paper verification of what your vote looked like after you cast it on the machine, and report and watch everything you're seeing going on if anything looks like it's crooked. And so the Democrats, I think, are going to have a much harder time this time because of all the work we've done pointing out how they cheat. These patterns are going to be obvious, but the one thing everybody can do that ensures victory is vote and make sure your neighbors vote, your friends vote, because overwhelming votes will make stealing the election impossible. That's a fundamental point.
So one last thing before we go. Obviously, things are moving out. A lot of things are happening. A week from today, Jerry, do you think we'll have an answer on Election Day?
I actually think we're going to have an answer on Election Day because I think the vote for Trump is going to be overwhelming. Now, there may be some states yet that are in dispute, and there may be some issues that need to be resolved after the voting in next Tuesday, November 5th. But I think it's the result is going to be so clear. I think the Democrats in some ways have almost already given up on Kamala. I think they're going to try now to steal the House and Senate races more than they're trying to steal.
Oh, I think
Kamala.
they're going to definitely go for the House because the House gives them power of the purse.
Precisely. And it also gives them a lot of powers on investigating, and a lot of legislation originates in the House. I mean, they're going to want to go for Congress and resist, and we'll go through more of the insanity we went through the first term. But I think everybody's better prepared for it this time. We've seen this show. It's not a pretty show. We don't like this show. And we're getting ready to find ways to make sure the penalties are legally enforced, criminally enforced. And if there's treason, let's find it and let's prosecute it.
Yeah.
There's only one thing for
one
sure.
last question. This really is the last question. Jerry, would you agree with me that Barack Obama is Satan's left testicle? No, don't answer that. That will get you in trouble. Just
Is the debate between left or right?
The central one. It's the central one.
Or is it yes or no?
He's the third nipple, if you will. There is one thing for sure. One thing for sure about the election. After this happens, the Democrats will do a complete 180 on the filibuster stance.
Oh, they'll do a 180 in all kinds of stances.
All right. Yeah, there you go.
Suddenly they'll start saying the election was stolen, and they'll believe they have the right to say it, although they said it was
Yeah.
insurrectionist when Trump said it.
Exactly.
The
So we'll
double
get-
standard will be massive.
Or it'll be a erection, as certain folks have said on like, I think
Hey, but
isn't that what Nancy Pelosi called it, an erection or something like that?
yeah, right. Well, look, even Bezos, when Bezos realizes that the Washington Post needs conservative columnists, something fundamental has changed, and so therefore, I think the these aren't Democrats. These are the communists and New World Order transhumanists have overplayed their hand, and I think America's sick of it. And I think we've had enough of what they're serving up, including their electric vehicles, which you can't recharge in the winter. That they
we
catch
can
fire in your garage,
talk about that.
That's
burn
another
down
stuff.
your house.
We'll go through
all
that.
their
We'll do a
ideas
deep
are
dive
bad
on that.
ideas. All their ideas are bad ideas. They have no agenda any reasonable person would want to sign on to.
All right. So anyway, we got to go, Jerry. Thank you for being here. Dr. Jerome Corsi, we showed his books. You see the man. Go check out the website again. What is that, Chris? God's Five Stones?
Gods5stones.com and thetruthcentral.com.
Update yourself. Be prepared. Get a friend to vote. Too big to rig. Let's do it. We're in this together, right? Just like red, green. We're in this together.
Too big to rig.
Yes.
Too big to rig. All right, folks. Well, I'll be out tomorrow because I'm on a plane to LA, but Chris will be hosting and
with Angie. Angie Wong's going to be with me tomorrow.
We're
going to have
Angie
fun.
Wong, our friend Angie.
We're going to pull in a couple of guests. It'll be a lot of fun.
That's right. So anyway, well, I'll see you next Monday, but they'll see you tomorrow. So thanks for being here. Take care, folks.